The Kelvar Dominion had long considered themselves the apex of the galactic order, predators among livestock, arbiters of what species deserved survival and which deserved extinction. On the outer rim of their claimed territories floated Eos, a young human colony. It was small, still in its second century of growth, with orbital docks under construction and farms spreading across its rich valleys. It posed no military threat, no strategic barrier. But the Kelvar did not strike for strategy. They struck for spectacle. The Dominion fleet descended in orbit like carrion birds. Their warships, angular and glittering with weapons, cast shadows that stretched for miles across Eos's oceans. Orbital strikes followed, cities burning in searing plumes, comm towers collapsing, children screaming in the ashes. They herded the survivors into open squares and forced them to kneel before alien overseers. The Kelvar commander, High Talon Iresk, broadcast his victory to the galaxy. Behold humanity, stripped bare. These upstart creatures talk of exploration, of diplomacy, of peace. Let this colony be their epitaph. Weakness cannot claim a seat at the galactic table. His fleet laughed as the humans were executed in rows, their deaths transmitted across a dozen sectors. To the Kelvar, it was a message of dominance. To the rest of the galaxy, it was a warning. Never trust the humans' promises of peace, for they could not even protect their own. They did not know what they had awakened. The banquet of mockery, in the aftermath, the Dominion reveled. Their fleets paraded through their sectors, banners unfurled, war drums echoing in the void. Other species, wary of the Kelvar's claws, offered congratulations. Few pitied the humans. They were newcomers, idealists with fragile colonies, soft words, and no great fleets to their name. Earth had signed treaties of restraint, spoken endlessly of cooperation and patience. The Dominion believed humanity incapable of retribution. At a council of warlords, Iresk raised his chalice and sneered, "Earth is no empire, no rival. They are merchants, dreamers, farmers. We have cut them, and they will bleed in silence. Their cries will be swallowed by the void. The galaxy shall know them for what they are. Prey." Applause thundered. Laughter filled the chamber. The Kelvar carved human sigils into their armor as trophies. They sang songs mocking the silent earth. But silence is not always weakness. Sometimes, silence is the drawing of breath before the scream. The forgotten signal, deep beneath Earth's crust, under mountain ranges older than civilization itself, lay the vaults of iron memory. They had been sealed centuries earlier, relics from a darker age when humanity had waged war across the stars not for survival, but for conquest. Within those hidden vaults lay fleets, armadas mothballed in silence, their hulls vast as continents, their weapons quiet but not broken. Humanity had locked them away after the Great Reconciliation, vowing never again to unleash the storms that had once scarred entire star systems. They had been forgotten. Until the signal came, it was not a broadcast of words. It was a scream of grief, carried on encrypted bands to Earth. A final message from Eos before the Kelvar bombardment erased it. In command bunkers across the Sol system, ancient codes lit up for the first time in generations. Red icons blazed across holo displays. Alarms wailed with tones older than any living officer. A voice, mechanical and unyielding, filled every command hall. Protocol vengeance. Confirm release. Forgotten fleets await. The silence ended. Earth's leaders, grim and hollow-eyed, did not hesitate. They pressed the keys. Across the hidden vaults, colossal hangars cracked open. Dust of centuries fell as reactors flared back to life. Dreadnoughts stirred in the dark, hulls rumbling like awakening gods. Ancient banners of war, untouched for lifetimes, unfurled again. The galaxy, watching from afar, heard nothing yet, but they soon would. The shattering of illusions. The Kelvar celebration ended with a single transmission. It pierced every Dominion comnet, overriding channels blaring into war councils and homes alike. A human voice, calm, cold, deliberate. "You killed our children. You burned our homes. You mocked our silence. Now hear this. The silence is over. You will never harm humanity again." Then came coordinates. Dozens, hundreds, thousands. Human fleets emerging not from Sol alone, but from secret stations scattered across forgotten space. The galaxy watched in disbelief. Where had these ships come from? They were vast, armored leviathans bristling with weapons unseen in centuries. Their hulls bore scars from wars that had been erased from public record. Their engines roared with ancient fury. The humans had hidden their monsters well. Panic swept the Dominion. High Talon Iresk scoffed at first, until his forward fleets began vanishing, annihilated in seconds. Entire task groups disappeared into flashes of white fire, leaving only drifting wreckage. Then came the human ultimatum, spoken in every tongue of the galaxy. The reckoning has begun. Those who stand with the Kelvar will fall with them. Stand aside, or be swept away. The galaxy shuddered. The storm unleashed human fleets advanced like an inexorable tide. Each battle was not a clash, but an execution. On the world of Karask, the Dominion's orbital defense grid lit the skies with 1,000 beams. The human dreadnought Leviathan of Dawn descended through the fire unscathed, its shields bending light like a mirror. One salvo from its spinal cannon split the planet's crust. Firestorms boiling oceans. On the moon fortress Jorek, Dominion generals laughed at the thought of holding off Earth's toys. Minutes later, human marines landed, soldiers clad in black armor, moving like living storms. They breached walls with gauss fire, tore through defenders with precision, and left silence in their wake. Survivors swore the humans did not shout, did not rage. They killed with the quiet focus of surgeons. Fleets of human carriers deployed swarms of drones, winged machines blotting out suns, tearing fighters apart in tides of steel. Everywhere the Kelvar stood, they were broken. What the Dominion had mistaken for restraint had always been mercy. Now that mercy was gone. The annihilation, the final stand came at Kelvar Prime. The Dominion gathered every remaining ship, every warlord's banner, forming a defensive wall around their homeworld. From orbit, they broadcast bravado to hide their fear. Let them come. Earth will break against our claws. This is our throne. Then the humans arrived. Not hundreds of ships. Not thousands. Tens of thousands pouring from slipspace like a black ocean, blotting out the stars. Dreadnoughts the size of cities. Carriers the size of continents. War machines that had slumbered too long now roared with one voice. Vengeance. The battle lasted less than a day. Kelvar fleets were shredded in storms of plasma and kinetic fire. Entire flotillas vanished under waves of missiles that screamed like banshees. Human warforms descended into atmosphere. Hulking walkers that marched across continents, crushing fortresses like sandcastles. Cities burned. Palaces fell. The Dominion's proud banners were ground into ash beneath human boots. High Talon Iresk, once triumphant, was dragged before human commanders. They did not gloat. They did not taunt. They executed him in silence. The ashes and the whisper. When the war ended, the Dominion was gone. Entire systems lay quiet. Fleets reduced to drifting bones of metal. Human ships lingered in orbit, their guns still warm, their silence louder than any boast. Then, one by one, they turned away. They did not stay to conquer. They did not raise their flag over alien worlds. They left only ruins and a warning. Survivors whispered in hidden corners of the galaxy. Never provoke Earth again. Never mistake their silence for weakness. Their patience is vast, but their vengeance is infinite. Trade routes bent to avoid Sol's borders. Diplomats spoke Earth's name with caution, voices low, as if afraid the humans could hear. Children on alien worlds learned the story of Eos and the vengeance that followed. And in the deepest corners of the galaxy, species long predatory and proud began to tremble, for they realized the truth. Earth had not shown its full strength. It had only answered what was asked of it, and the galaxy knew, with cold certainty, that if humanity was ever provoked again, the silence would break once more, and the fleets, forgotten in darkness, would awaken to bring fire without mercy.